Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we are gonna work together on this amazing looking chemical factory which will produce infinite amounts of deuterium and liquid oxygen, serving as a better fuel source than liquid hydrogen and oxygen for your DFC reactor. Now this factory is completely self-sustainable. That means once it's made, you won't need to refuel or repower it again. It will produce these fuels in infinite quantities. Also, what's more is that this build is highly customizable, which means you can combine it with some of my other builds like the 1x1 RBMK reactor in case you want to scale it up. Now as you can see, this factory looks amazing during the night, and I think it fits the HBM theme perfectly, so you are gonna have a blast building this in your world. The mods required are in the description down below, so without any further ado, let's get straight into it. We start by making the base of this entire build in a nice open flat area. For the material, I am going with concrete from Nuclear Tech mod, and also the base is going to measure 51 blocks by 31 blocks in total. Using World Edit for this entire build is highly recommended. So that's a 51 by 31 rectangle done. Just double check the dimensions again, and then we are going to mark the corner blocks and the center blocks in order to make this build easier. So for the corner blocks, I went with red wool and the center blocks are white wool. And with this, the corner and the center blocks are marked. Let's build the first component, which is going to be the water section and the fuel section. So come to the centermost part and use any other block like concrete from Immersive Engineering and come out by 5 blocks. So measuring the center block, come out by 5, and then one to the right, place down your first placeholder. Next up, we are going to make two 5 by 5 squares, leaving a 1 block gap. So there's another line of 5, and now just stack this entire thing by 4 more in order to make a 5 by 5 square. There we go. So now we have two placeholders where our water barrels are gonna go. So first we are going to place down our first biggest tank, which is going to serve as a pretty big buffer, and next up place down 8 water barrels in the similar manner. So 4 more on the top, totaling up to 8, and now we are going to set these up. So for the biggest tank, there's gonna be the fluid identifier for water, and it is going to be set to input output, which is the green mode right here, and place heavy infinite water barrel inside it. Now as for all of the steel barrels, they are going to be set in the same configuration. They are set to water with output only. So it is going to be output only and heavy infinite water barrels in it. In the same way, do it for all the other barrels, and once it's done, connect the steel barrel with the biggest tank, and you will notice that the biggest tank will start filling up rather quickly. So yeah, this is our water setup done. Now let's make a ceiling for this whole thing, on top of which we are going to place down 2 more tanks in order to get a fuel output. So start by placing 7 steel scaffoldings in the diagonal direction like this, and then once you have placed these two, leave a 7 block gap and then place down another 7 high steel scaffolding. There we go. Now this entire thing is going to be divided into 2 parts, stone slabs and steel grate. So there are going to be total 8 stone slabs, and after the 8 we are going to place 4 steel grates. The steel grate portion is simply for decoration or walking around on it. So there we go. Now we have an overhang of 2 on the front side and an overhang of 1 on the back side. And make sure that you double up the stone slabs like this. Now we are going to extend this entire thing in both the directions. So come out by 2 on the outside. There we go. And let's do the same on the inside as well. So once you have completed this entire pattern, your roof is going to look something like this. An overhang of 2 on both the sides where there are stone slabs, and an overhang of 2 and 1 on the steel grate side. You can change this up if you want to. Now come to this middle portion right here and break out the center block. From here we are going to place down a ladder in order to go to the top of the build. So extend some stone slabs and place any ladder of your choice. I am going to use the rusty ladder from Malicious Doors. There we go. Now we are going to place down our 2 tanks. So come to the middle, which is the 5th block, and then come down 5 behind and place down your first tank, and in a similar way on the other side place down your another tank. These two tanks will hold the deuterium and the liquid oxygen, which is going to be our output. And break 2 blocks in front of these tanks like this. So that's our first component done, and in order to complete it, simply place some fences so that you don't fall over. Alright, now let's start working on the second component, which are going to be the heavy water towers or the deuterium extraction towers. So leave a diagonal 3 blocks, and on the 4th block place down your placeholder block, which is our concrete from immersive engineering. Now we are going to turn this placeholder into a rectangle which measures 12 blocks by 25 blocks. And it will measure perfectly with the center of this entire build. Now once we have this, we are going to leave a 3 block gap in order to make some pipes or place down some pipes on the bottom side. So leave a 3 block gap like this, and on the 4th block place down another block which is once again concrete, and then convert this into another 12 by 25 rectangle. There we go. So now that this is done, we are going to make the place where deuterium towers are gonna be placed. So leave 2 diagonal blocks and then break a 2 by 2 like this. Now leave 4 blocks in total and then break another 4 by 4. Oh sorry, a 2 by 2. So there we go. And you will notice that this second block is also 2 diagonal away from the corner. Now on the sides, leave a 4 block gap and basically repeat this pattern. We are going to have total 8 extraction towers. So these are the 8 placeholders for our deuterium extraction towers. Now we are going to make some place for the fluids and cables. So break down 2 blocks on each side, leaving one side intact like this. And on this side, make sure that you are breaking the inner side rather than the outer side. So just break down blocks in this following pattern. And next up, we are gonna start placing down our fluid pipes and cables. Also make sure to break the 3 blocks in the middle like this. We are going to place a steel grate in order to walk around this build. So with that done, we are now ready to place down our fluid cables, and place down the fluid cables in the front and the back like this. There we go. And on the remaining sides, we are going to place down our coated red copper cable. Completed. Now the front side is going to be water and the back side is going to be heavy water. So shift and right click the front fluid ducts with water fluid identifier, and the back side is going to be heavy water. The deuterium extraction towers need water, power, and they output heavy water. So there we go, we have set up all of these. Now let's start connecting them on the bottom side, and for that I'm going to use night vision potion. First things first, let's connect the water ducts on the front side. So bring out a water duct like this all the way back, and from the second last block, which is on the outer side, bring down a water duct all the way to the very back where the another fluid ducts are placed, or the another water ducts are placed, and connect it like this. Do the similar thing on the another side, basically connecting it on the last second block from the very outermost corner. There we go. Alright, now let's connect in a similar way the heavy water ducts, but just don't connect them in a similar way like you did the water ducts. Just connect them laterally. And next up, we are going to make our external ports. So place down one fluid duct in front where the water duct are placed, and then leave a 1 block gap, place down a coated red copper cable, and then another fluid duct. In a similar way, we are going to do this side, one coated copper, or basically one coated fluid duct, copper cable, and another fluid duct. Now this one is going to set to water and the another one is going to be set to heavy water. Basically these are our connecting ports. So water, coated red copper cable, and heavy water. Now that this is placed, you can also connect the heavy water cables or heavy water pipes, like we did with the water pipes. There we go. And finally remaining are the cables, and connect them in a similar manner. There we go. With this done, we can now cover up all of the sides except the front side. So I'm going to use world edit. You can use a different block in case you want to basically make your build look more better. On the front side, leave or basically cover up every block other than the ports which we used to connect or which we are going to use to connect. Now in order to come down this build, I'm going to use some ladders, and as it is pretty dark in here, place down some lights in the corners and in the middle section. To walk around, place down some steel grates in the 3 block gap that we broke before, like this. And finally, in order to go down, I'm going to use any block of your choice. I'm going to use concrete and a trapdoor. I'm using the sliding trapdoor from Melisys doors, but this can also be a normal trapdoor. So now you can walk around, you can come basically on the bottom side and check if every pipe is working properly or not. So this can be your little maintenance area. With all of that done, place down your deuterium extracting towers, total 8 of them, and also connect all of the correct pipes. So water pipes will come on the front side, heavy water pipes on the back, and the power cables on the side. And we are done with this. So that's the second component taken care of. In order to get up, let's make a stair here. So this is going to be 4 high in total. You can walk around on the grid and then come down via the stairs again. Alright, now we are going to work on a third component, which is going to be the industrial generators. So from the middle block and from the corner block, we are going to go out to diagonally. And on the third one, make a rectangle measuring 6 by 9. So there we have 6 blocks in width and total 9 blocks in length. This entire build is going to be powered using 6 industrial generators. So that's one rectangle done. Let's make the same on the back side. And again, the dimensions are the same, 6 by 9. So place down 6 industrial generators, 3 on the back side and 3 on the front side like this. Make sure that all of them are facing each other. In order to power them, I am going to use the lead pellet and also infinite water barrels. Now in the configs, I have turned so that the pellets won't decay, and yeah, basically this makes the industrial generator an infinite power source. So once you have powered all of the 6 industrial generators using lead pellets and infinite water barrels, come out by 5 blocks from the last industrial generator and make an 8 by 8 square. Our final component, or our second final component, is going to be the chemical factory, which will convert the heavy water into deuterium and liquid oxygen. So here's our 8 by 8 square. If we measure the area, here we have 64 blocks in total, and place down your chemical factory, making sure that the ports are facing the tanks that we placed above. So that's done. And for the final component, we have the cooling tower. So come out by 4 blocks from the last barrel that we placed, and on the 5th block, make a 9 by 9 square, as that is the area required in order to place a cooling tower. There we go. So on this 9 by 9 area, place down your cooling tower, which will convert all of the low pressure steam back into water. Now one last thing which is remaining is to basically provide water to the chemical plant or the chemical factory. So place down one additional barrel with heavy infinite water in it, and that will be a water source for the chemical factory, as the chemical factory doesn't have an internal source for water. Time to connect this entire thing up with fluid ducts. So the first connection that we are going to make is connect the water pipe to the chemical plant, and next up, also connect all of the deuterium extraction towers with our biggest tank. So here's water going into the deuterium extraction towers. You will see that they will fill up with water. Next up, connect both of the heavy water ducts like this, but don't connect them to the chemical plant just yet. First, let's set up these output tanks. So on these output tanks where we broke the blocks in front of it, set one of them to liquid oxygen and another one to deuterium. Next up, connect them and also make sure to bring these pipes back into the chemical factory, sorry, not the chemical plant, chemical factory. So there we go. That's the output tank set with deuterium and liquid oxygen. Now also the chemical factory is going to produce low pressure steam which will go into the cooling tower like this, and cooling tower will give us back some water which will go into the biggest tank, thus completing the loop of water. Now we can connect the heavy water pipes to the chemical factory. So bring it up like this and connect them. And with this, all of the connection for the chemical factory are done. In order to power this, we are going to use the electric poles, and also basically we are not going to use solid cables right away. So place some cables with electric pole at the very end. Also place an electric connector on top of the chemical factory as we need to power the factory as well. And there are two electric poles placed 20 blocks apart. Now I'm going to make a simple turning on or turning off mechanism. So place down a redstone power switch connecting to the copper cable and then an electric pole. Do the same again so that our entire plant is redstone controlled. Now using your cable drum, connect all of the electricity poles and also make sure to connect this power grid to the chemical factory as well. Now for the redstone power switch, set a wireless receiver and set it to any frequency that you want to. I'm going to set it to a frequency of 1. So now we are done with the functional part of the build. I'm going to cover this entire build up with some fences on all of the sides. So basically wherever there were the corner blocks and the center blocks, I have replaced them with 2 high concrete blocks, and I'm going to cover this build up with fence. And finally we need a gate for our factory. So come to the middle section like this and convert it into a 2x2 gate. Here the factory door is going to look pretty good. So there we go, our door is complete. Now in order to test this entire build, simply place down a wireless transmitter with the same frequency set as the receiver. With this, all of the deuterium towers will start receiving power. They will convert water into heavy water, and in the chemical factory, place down your template for heavy water cryo-electrolysis. And this template will convert all of the heavy water into liquid oxygen and deuterium. Through these pipes, these fluids will travel into the tanks where they will be stored, and you can use them in your DFC reactor. Now I'm going to show you some examples as for what you can do for lighting these builds up during the night. So for the first example, I am going to use the floodlights from immersive engineering, and for the second example, I'm going to use electrical edge. Now due to placing glowstone in the bottom, this entire portion will be lit up a little bit, but once you turn on the floodlights, it will also power your entire, or basically it will also light up rest of your base. Now the electrical edge one, it looks a bit more fancy and you can use more lights this way. So if I turn on the switch, you will see that the entire base lights up. The more lights you place, the brighter your build will be. So yeah, decorating this build is up to you guys. So I hope you guys found this video helpful and you enjoyed it. If you did, do subscribe to the channel and also like the video. Peace out my dudes.